Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Jamie. This is Charlie, and today we are going to be going over all of the books that I read in the month of November. I can't believe it's December. Today is December 1st when I'm filming this, and it just feels so surreal to me that it is almost the new year. But that's also really exciting because it's kind of just a fresh start. I'm really excited to see where this booktube channel takes me in the new year. So without further ado, let's go over the books that I read this past month. I will say it wasn't an all-time best reading month. Actually, that might be a bold-faced lie because I did tell you guys that I normally read like 3 books a month. This month I read like 4.5. So I would say that's pretty good. But there's one book that took me the majority of the month to read. And I just feel like if it hadn't been for that book, I would have had like a superior reading month, but you know, such is life. So let's go over the 4.5 books that I read in the month of November. This will be spoiler free, and I have a shortened version of these reviews over on my TikTok, which is just Jamie Reads. It is the same username as my YouTube channel and my Instagram. So without further ado, let's hop into the wrap up. I started the month off on a really high note by reading Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This book requires no introduction because it is so incredibly hyped up on social media, but just in the rare case that you have not read this book or you haven't heard of it, this follows our main protagonist, Violet Sorrengail. And Violet all her life has known that she wants to be a scribe. She loves books, she loves the library, she loves history, she loves writing, she just loves everything that comes along with that world. So she is going to enter the Basgiath War College, and she has all her life thought that she was going to enter the scribe quadrant. But her mother is a general at this college, and she wants Violet to be a dragon rider. So Violet enters the rider's quadrant because she doesn't really have much of a choice because her mother is kind of scary. So she enters the rider's quadrant, and it just kind of takes off from there. You're watching her kind of go through these trials, you're watching her make friends, you're watching her have a love interest, and it was just a really fun time. I think for a fantasy book, this is a very easy world to get sucked into. The world building in this introductory book, in this 5-book series, is not hard to understand at all. And the absolute best part of this book is that there are dragons, and the dragons, you get their point of view. I'm not going to spoil anything because I want this to remain spoiler free, but you do get some dragon point of view, and it is just top tier. They are so good. They're so sassy. They're so funny. I love them so much. But I rated this book 5 stars on Goodreads. This honestly is like a 6 and above star for me. I love this so much. I flew through this book and I was so excited because I finished it just a few days before Iron Flame release. So I hopped right into Iron Flame. I pre-ordered this from Target and they had it with the black sprayed edges. And I was so let down by this book, which I feel like is a pretty popular consensus across book talk and booktube, is that people were just so looking forward to this story continuing, and they were kind of let down. So this story, of course, continues where the other one left off, which Fourth Wing leaves off on the biggest cliffhanger. Personally, I'm really happy that I didn't have to wait to find out what happens, but if I had read that in real time, I can't imagine waiting for this book to release. It picks up right where Fourth Wing left off. I'm not really gonna say much more than that, other than the fact that I was so let down by this book. First of all, the font size. The font size needs to be discussed because it is so much smaller than Fourth Wing that this book is 620 something pages, and it took me over 2 weeks to read, which is not like me. And I felt kind of dumb reading this book because I was like, I know this world, I know these characters, I know the writing style, I know the different names and the words and the Gaelic pronunciations. Like I was like, I am so confident going into this book. And I was just immediately humbled because I had to reread pages so many times to comprehend what was on them. And that was really frustrating for me because I love this world and I loved the first book so much. So I don't understand how there was such a difference a vast difference between the first book and the second book. I feel like it should have just kind of followed suit, but this one was just so much harder to comprehend and to follow. There was so much politics, and I'm fine with politics in a fantasy book. Like, I read the ACOTAR series, and ACOWAR has a lot of politics, but that one I found so easy to follow. This was just so heavy on the politics, so light on the romance, and there was this huge underlying trope of miscommunication between Violet and Xaden that really made me mad. I was like, can you both just like get in a room and talk it out and then be done with it? Like, it was just really frustrating to watch them chapter after chapter just fighting over miscommunication or secrets or like things that they didn't like about each other. I'm like, first of all, you guys have known each other for like a couple of months. Like, it's still like you should still be in the honeymoon phase. Okay? So the fact that you don't know each other's deepest, darkest secrets, that's okay. Because you're not supposed to. Like, if I met someone and I just started unloading all of my deepest, darkest secrets, that would be weird, right? So like, why is it expected of Xaden? Why does Violet expect him to just unload all of his deepest, darkest... Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent because this book made me mad. If it hadn't been for the dragons, I would have given this a 2-star. The dragons and the last like 100 pages brought this up to a 3.5 star for me, but this book was such a letdown, and it was so painful for me to get through that I had to actually get a free trial of Audible to get the audiobook to get through the last half of this book. I read about 300 pages and I was like, I can't do this. And I had to get the audiobook, and I've never had to do that before. So this was a huge, huge letdown and just kind of left my brain feeling fried. So after that, I needed a palette cleanser. So on my Kindle, I decided to start the Chestnut Spring series. So I started with the first book, Flawless, and the entire series is on Kindle Unlimited, which I personally love. So I started with that book, and honestly, that series is really, really hyped up, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe I'm just like not a super huge fan of contemporary romance, which I used to love, but now that I've read so much fantasy, well, not so much fantasy, but like fantasy is like predominantly like what I'm reading. I just feel like contemporary romance, it just like, it was missing something. I forget the main characters' names, which is so bad, but you're following this girl and this guy is like dual point of view, and the guy is like this like grumpy cowboy who basically like had like some PR mishap where he is losing sponsors, and he's like this big bull rider, and his agent's daughter is assigned to kind of babysit him and live with him on his ranch and just make sure that for a couple of weeks he just lays low and that he doesn't stir the pot, he doesn't make headlines, he just sticks to the straight and narrow. It was fine. I mean, it was kind of predictable, you know, forced proximity, they end up like liking each other, and then, you know, they fall for each other, and then there's spice, and the spice was kind of cringy, and I'm like usually a fan of spice in books. Like, I'm fine with it, whatever, like I could take it or leave it. Usually, you know, I'll take it, but this spice I had to just like kind of skim through because it was a little cringy, and the main female character was just kind of really annoying. I liked the main male character. Again, I'm forgetting his name, which is so horrible, but I pictured him as Casey from Yellowstone, which was lovely, honestly. Like, I love him. I love that actor. So that's how I pictured him. I don't think that that matches the way that he was described in the book, but that's how he was described in my brain. So, it was fine. I went through it in like a couple of days. I rated it, I think, 3 stars. I rated it 3.25 stars on Goodreads. It was fine. You know, it's one of those books that I read and I instantly forgot about. I don't know. I know it's so hyped up, that series. I don't know if I'm going to continue it. It's nice that it's on Kindle Unlimited, and I know that the other books in the series are more so loved than Flawless, but let me know. Should I keep going? If I didn't love Flawless, like, what are your thoughts? Should I give the next ones a chance, or should I just DNF the series and move on with my life? Let me know. Then after that, I was so excited because I picked up Love in Other Words. I've had this book on my shelf for a few months. I got it for my birthday in September, and first of all, this cover is just so, so pretty. I love this cover. I know that this book has a few covers, but this is the one that I prefer. I tabbed the absolute heck out of this book. I'm a little overwhelmed. I can't say enough good things about this book. So we're following our main protagonist, who is Macy, and Macy, we follow her from when she's 13 all the way through adulthood. So we meet her and you just find out right off the bat that her mom died when she was 10, when Macy was 10, not when her mom was 10. That would make absolutely no sense. She can't have a baby when she's 10. So she's living with her dad and they live in California, and they decide that they want, well, not they, it wasn't a joint decision. The father decides that he would like to buy a home kind of a few hours away in, I feel like, the wine country. I'm not very good with places in books. I'm good with plots, just not like places. So they buy they acquire a vacation home. They acquire a vacation home a couple hours away, and they go there like on weekends and vacations. And living next door is the Petropolis family, this adorable family. They have a few boys, and the youngest son, his name is Elliot, and Elliot and Macy they become best friends. And you just watch them kind of fumble through young love and then falling out and then coming back together as adults. And it's a second chance romance. It is such a heartwarming story. It had me laughing, it had me crying, it had me just like going like this, because I had such a reaction to this book. This book made me feel so much, and I loved it so much. It was one of those books where I was flying through it and I was like, okay, I need to slow down because I don't want this to be over, because this is a standalone book, there is no sequel. It was just, I love the writing style, I love how it flashed back between past and present. I love that because you're reading about the past and then you're like, well, I need to keep going because I need to know what happens in the present, and then the present happens and you're like, well, I need to keep going because I need to know what happened in the past. Like, it just kept me hooked from the very beginning. And this is my style of contemporary romance, is like wholesome, second chance. Words aren't enough. Love in other words, words aren't enough to describe how much I love that book. So that was an easy 5-star on Goodreads, but I would rate it infinity stars if I could. It is one of my absolute new favorite books of all time, and I need to read more by Christina Lauren because this was my first book by them. So if you have any recommendations for me, let me know below. I know someone had recommended The Honeymooners, I think, and I do want to read that, but if you have any others, let me know down below. And yesterday, November 30th, I started The Fine Print by Lauren Asher on my Kindle. It's kind of giving me the same vibes that Flawless did, where it's fine. It's supposed to be like Disney World, like the Dreamland is supposed to be like Disneyland, and they have Princess Kara's castle and Storybrooke Avenue instead of like Main Street. I love Disney. It's almost like too much. It's almost too similar. It's a little too similar. And I didn't think that would bother me, but it does. And we're following, it's a dual point of view between this girl Zara and Rowan, who is like a billionaire, and his grandfather just died, and he needs to basically become the director of Dreamland. Then he gets his share of the will. I don't know. The thing is, like, I don't care. And that's how I know I'm not really loving a book, is when I'm describing it to someone and I'm just like, I don't care. So why would you care? Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just not loving it. I don't love the writing style. I don't love like Grumpy Sunshine enemies to lovers when it's like right off the bat he's like, well, her ass looks so nice in those pants, and oh, I wonder what else you could do with that mouth. And I'm just like, sir, you've known her for all of 3 days. You claim to hate her. She is your subordinate, and yet I have to be inside your head and read these thoughts. But I don't like being inside his head. And then Zara is like the exact opposite. She's like too sunshiny. Like that's the thing. I hate a grumpy sunshine. I'm just gonna say it. I hate a grumpy sunshine. That is one of my least favorite tropes. The grump sucks. The sunshine, annoying. I think I just made up my mind. I think I'm gonna DNF it. I'm at like 30% of the way through. Like tell me, should I keep going? Should I keep going? Because like I don't want to, but I will if you tell me to. Like if one person tells me to, I probably will. But that is going to do it for November's reading wrap up. I am overall, it's like 50-50 the way I feel about this month. Like I read some of my new favorite books of all time, but then I read some that made me feel very, very angry. Let me know what you read down below. Keep an eye out for my December TBR jar picks my December TBR. Keep an eye out for that video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.